Hi there. My name is David Bush and I teach AP US History. What I'm going to attempt to do in the next 3 or 4 segments is a brief review of American history. This is not going to be an attempt to do every small detail and go into every story, because that would not be a review. And this is meant to be a device to help people study for major exams. I've been told by my students many times that this works very well, so I figured I would try putting this on YouTube. And the method I'm going to use is this monstrous timeline that we tend to create at this time of year when we are reviewing. Just to give you an idea, before I go into the smaller detail of it in terms of its size, it pretty much encompasses this board and several other boards. And I'm going to give you an example of what we're talking about, and then I'll get down to the details. If you take a look, we start all the way in 1620, and then we're going to move, and it's not necessarily neat because several people have helped participate in making this, but we're going to move through American history. When possible, I will make cause and effect relationships. Sometimes you can't, because to say that something causes something else isn't always true, although there are many times that does happen. And to the best of my ability, I'll try to make some sense out of this. We will start in the year 1620, and we'll go all the way through to the Clinton era. I'm not quite sure how we're going to handle the Obama era. To give you more look at what else is going on, the timeline spreads. Look at the more modern timeline if you want. That one takes from 33 to 1945. And then to go further, we will head over here, and you will see we start in 1941. I'm sorry, that would be 1841, and we're going to go to 1872, and then we're going to go from 1876 to 1929, and then there's one on the floor which you will get to in time. I will walk you through the entire timeline. So if you don't mind a little camera movement, let's pick up some of this right now. And just to give you a more succinct idea of what we'll walk through the whole timeline, and then I will start my explanation. Once again, a little camera shake. I am doing this by myself. So we're going to start in 1620, Jamestown, the Zenger case, the Albany Conference. So we're going to move along, and if you see, slowly and surely, we're adding a lot of details here. Now we're into the Revolutionary period. And following the Revolutionary period, we have the critical period, where the British didn't think we were actually going to make this. And then we're going to go along into the new nation. We'll get the adoption of the Constitution, and what I like to call is that wonderful deal in American history, the Bill of Rights in 1791. Then we're going to be down here at 1793, starting with Citizen Genet and his attempts to get us to align with France. And we're going to walk along again. Once again, this is not the explanation. This is simply a look at what the timeline encompasses. So we're going to move along, and we're going to through the Jefferson years and Madison, and then eventually going to come to Monroe, which is down here. And his high water mark is going to be the Monroe Doctrine. And moving along, we're going to begin what's known as the Age of Jackson, the only president to have an entire age named after him. So now we will continue by moving around the classroom. You see, this is an actual classroom here. And we're going to head over to, by the way, these are my advisors. I'm kind of partial to the little guy on the bottom there. Anyway, we're going to head over to the death of William Henry Harrison. We had fun with it, probably a little irreverent. Harrison kaput in 1841. And then we're going to continue to move along. As we move along, you notice we're a little more colorful here. Had to change boards. And then we end up with the first real understanding that there's oil to be used in the United States with Drake's Folly in 1858. Then we come down here, and we are at, down there, we are at John Brown, and then secession, and moving along through the same kind of way of approaching things through the Civil War and into Reconstruction. And the railroad with Ulysses S. Grant actually completed in 1869, and he is reelected in 1872. 1876, we'll have the telephone. Moving along further. Again, not making any connections right now, just showing you what the line looks like. And you get to see how much of it there really is. We really do go quite a ways with this. So now we're into Teddy Roosevelt, who's the Republicans' worst nightmare, as I like to say. And then the whole progressive era, we have the jungle with Upton Sinclair. And then we're going to move along here. Panama Canal finally opens in 1914 after about 10 years of construction. Going to go through the World War I time period, Woodrow Wilson. And the end of the progressive era and the beginning of the Roaring '20s, or some people call it the Republican decade, ending with Charles Lindbergh and the stock market crash in 1929. So moving around my classroom, we'll go to the Depression, 1929 through 1941. The years are a little variable depending on who you talk to about it, but then we'll be into the New Deal and Franklin Roosevelt's attempts to get us out of the Depression. Very controversial. Some people say it turned us into a debtor nation. I personally don't agree. I think what it really did was help us get out of the Depression, but that would be my opinion. And then we're still going through to World War II, the atomic bomb, Morgan versus Virginia, that blacks and whites are allowed to travel together on interstate commerce, interstate transit, I should say. And then we're moving along through the 1950s and the whole McCarthy era, and it's nice we put the Shah in Iran. That worked out very well for us. So now, moving along, that takes us to 1955, and the last part of our timeline. Yes, it would probably be nice if they were all together, but they're not. Room does that, and we're going to start in 1957. Well, hello, down here. Sorry about that, okay? We start with 1957. Let's hold it there. That's